There's nothing as daunting as starting a new life over when you don't know what the future holds, especially when you have children to consider. The fear of the unknown is what stops many victims of abuse from forsaking all and starting afresh. Do you know that starting afresh in your 40s, 50s, and 60s may sound crazy, but it's never too late to turn a new leaf? I remember hearing a conversation between my mom and a friend. It was a telephone conversation, and she was confiding in her, and she said, "My friend, I'm just staying in this marriage for the sake of my kids. I'm staying in this marriage for the sake of my kids" has become the anthem of many abused women. How many times have we heard that line? Now, you might think that you are saving your children by wanting to raise them in a stable foundation, in a stable structure where both parents are around. But what you don't know is that you are denting your child's future by raising them in a hostile environment where they will be hindered psychologically and mentally. Now, what you have to ask yourself is it worth raising my children in an environment where there's constant conflict, or would it be better for me to remove them and raise them somewhere where it's safer and more peaceful? Today we are talking about starting afresh. What does it take victims of abuse to finally say enough is enough, to forsake all and start a new chapter? Yet again, this is Bekezela.
Bekezela.
Before we get to today's guest, we have to talk about the traditional wedding between local musicians Babes Wodumo and Mampintsha that took place this past weekend. Though the couple has been successful in their music career, their relationship has been described as controversial and toxic after the display of physical abuse and alleged infidelity in their relationship. Who can forget the time when Babes Wodumo went live on Instagram in 2019 to capture her then boyfriend physically assaulting her in their bedroom? Take a look. Now, this video trended across multiple social media platforms and even public broadcasters as the nation was just in awe of the level of physical abuse. Many hoped that the couple would call it quits, especially after Babes Wodumo's father clearly stated that he wanted his now son-in-law put behind bars.
Now, the EFF has opened a case of assault against musician Mampintsha in Durban. The party's KZN chairperson Vusikoza says they've tried to reach out to singer Babes Wodumo. We shared a live stream showing her being beaten by Mampintsha, her boyfriend, last night. And viewers are warned that the video contains some footage that is quite disturbing. Now, our reporter Daisy Ntathia joins me now speaking to Wodumo's father. Good to see you again. Please just give us the latest firstly before you start speaking to the father on the charges laid by the EFF. Is there anything else new that's come out from your side?
Well, the EFF has confirmed that they did in fact open a case at the Umlazi police station. At the same time, the National SAPS office has issued a statement saying that they will be launching their own investigation into the matter. In fact, it's going to receive very special attention, and it's even attracted the attention of the National Police Commissioner. But I want to bring in Babes Wodumo's father, Reverend Mbongeni Simelani. He's with me and he's been kind enough to give us some of his time. Reverend, thank you for making the time to speak to us. I think the question on everyone's minds at this point, after seeing that very graphic video, is, how is your daughter and is she safe?
Well, she's stable, but I'm not all right because I saw my daughter crying, and Mandla is always beating my daughter. I told his father, Mr. Mapumulo, that he must tell his son not to hit and to kick or to fight with my daughter. But Mandla is keeping on hitting my daughter.
Has this been going on for a long time?
Yeah, it's quite a long time. As you once saw an interview of Sishaba at Radio Metro. But I was very much hurt because most of the media were opposing Sishaba about exposing this problem of my daughter. So Mandla is kicking my daughter. He is even now speaking to the media, lying and telling all South Africans that it's not true, it's a fake video. But I'm a father. I was there, and when my daughter was crying, she made sure that she opened a phone so that in case if she dies, I will know what happened. But I want this man to be arrested.
Reverend, the first time she approached you and told you of these things that were happening in her home, what was that conversation like between you and Bekezela?
Well, she's very much close to me. She always tells me that, Daddy, she called me Babazi. Babazi, Mandla is abusing me. Wherever, if Mandla sees any young boy around me, or even when I'm attending some gigs around South Africa, Mandla is going to fight, is going to hit me in front of my dancers and my subordinates. So she lost control even to her dancers and other people at the community at large by hitting my daughter in front of everybody. I'm very much hurt.
And when you found out about this, you did mention that you tried to speak to his father. Did you also try to speak to Mampintsha at the same time?
I spoke with Mampintsha. I told Mampintsha that I've never hit Babe's mother. But Mampintsha, he don't want to listen because he always boasts and say a Westville police station won't help because he is bribing those police at the Westville police station. I think the ministers and Kaunda and all other stakeholders must make sure that they deal with that police station because if my daughter is there now, but I don't think that that case will go on because that station is filthy.
So just to confirm, you said that she is opening a case at this point. Is there any confirmation that she's been able to do that yet?
Well, because the bishop, Bishop Dube, he spoke with my daughter. I can leave that to him. He knows. He spoke with Bekezela EP5 just now.
Okay, and I'll come to you in a second, Bishop. But just knowing that you as a father have had to listen to this, and also you said to me a little while off camera that you also watched the video, what was your first reaction when you saw that, knowing that this had been an ongoing issue according to you?
Well, I took my car and go to here, to Mandla's residence, because I'm always telling Mandla, and Mandla is using my daughter. I'm sorry to say this, it's just a story like Brenda Fassie. So I told him that don't use my daughter for your own gain, because with all these gigs and some of other things, including Black Panther, all that income, Mandla consume all that money. It's more than a few millions. Mandla is using my daughter in a very, very bad way. I want somebody to help me and investigate Mandla. I want money for Black Panther. I want money for all these things, MTN and all these other people who were making some donations to my daughter. Mandla is enriching himself with my daughter. That is what I hate.
Reverend, as it stands, have they officially broken up? Are they still in a relationship?
I'm a Zuluman. I know there is some muti that he's using. My daughter once found something under the bed that is like a doll, like a baby, with some strings and some muti around that thing. And my daughter was not well. I prayed for my daughter, and another prophet that I don't want to mention, he helped my daughter because of that. Mandla is using that muti. And my daughter is not right. If you speak to her, she will say, all right, Daddy, I'm distancing myself from Mandla. But within a day, 2-3 days, she's back there. And I'm really scared about that. I'm worried.
Today, before she went to the police station, what was the conversation that you had with her? I imagine that you also, once again, encouraged her to leave this relationship.
I couldn't hold myself because this is too bad to me. I've never seen my father hitting my mother, and I don't hit my wife. So sometimes at my Pumulo's side, sometimes they are doing that, but not at my side. Yeah, similarly. So I'm very much worried because he once slapped my daughter. Punched my daughter in front of my only son, and my son could not eat for a week the way Mandla was kicking my daughter.
When was this, Reverend?
It's not too long. And my son told me that, Daddy, I've got a problem. I saw Mandla in front of all other dancers. If they can somebody can call them, they can come and witness that. Mandla is abusing my daughter. As an animal.
If Mampintsha was watching this program right now, what would be your words to him?
I will tell him to go to the police station and tell the world that he's an animal. He must be charged. I want to see Mampintsha behind bars.
And just lastly, before I speak to you, Bishop, did she sustain any injuries in that attack?
All the time, even before. He once pushed my daughter on the steps at Westville, and my daughter could not dance and walk. She had to cancel some other gigs because of that. I know the media was very much angry and said, Peps is not coming, Peps is not going there, Peps is not going there. Mandla is in between, is always putting fire between Peps and some of other musicians. He wants to control my daughter. And while he is hitting my daughter and kicking my daughter and closing my daughter behind the door until my daughter is all right, then he allowed my daughter to go not stolen. But I'm aware of all that. I don't like that.
Is she going to be with you while she recovers?
Of course, she's with me, but I've hid her somewhere because I know Mandla is not a good man. It's not right. Mandla will go around and sending his boys to look for my daughter. But if my daughter is shot, or sometimes my daughter dies, I want the whole world to know that it's because of Mandla. Mandla is trying to assassinate Pepso Dumo, my daughter.
Thank you so much for your time, Reverend. Bishop, I understand you just spoke to Babes a little while ago. How was she doing and what did she say to you in that conversation?
Well, first of all, we must really condemn what we are hearing from Mampintsha, one of the person who was looked at in South Africa as a celebrity and a person who's supposed to protect women. We are very disappointed as men. We are very, very disappointed as African National Congress. We are coming from a meeting now with the leadership, as you can see, of the women, and they are very disappointed. When I spoke to her this afternoon, I wanted to make sure that she has opened the case as the case is supposed to be, and she agreed agreed that she has opened the case. Obviously, she's not in a jovial mood as much as you would know Upemso Dumo. She's devastated. She doesn't sound as okay as she's supposed to be okay, which is very disappointing and very embarrassing. We decided this afternoon, because we are always in contact with Bishop Smelane, and he has reported to me even before that he is facing a serious problem with Umampintsha, but all the time he has always tried to put a facade as if things are okay. As you can see, he hit the girl yesterday night. Daddy went to fetch the girl, but the response that we get from him is a report to say they were acting. And everybody could see in South Africa that was not acting.
Is that what he said?
Well, it's a statement that we pick up from the social network that they were just acting. In the meantime, Babu Smelan had to go and fetch the daughter, which is very, very cruel for him to, to be doing that. We as men, we are very angry. But, as ministers of religion, again, we are very angry about this. West with us as members of legislature and KwaZulu-Natal, ANC, we are very disappointed.
Now, shortly after the incident, with intervention from legal authorities, political parties, and a few court cases, the lovers found their way back into each other's arms, which shocked the nation. And in fact, a year later, Mampintsha proposed to his then girlfriend during a live radio interview where the couple was seen smitten over one another.
And he's not joking around.
It's not a joke.
Ring and all.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, so bengifuna nje ukuthi mina ushibona amashare Mr. Manje waphumulo wena mina ubongile isimela nje ungenza umuntu nje sithanda so sekuyiminyaka seyisikhathi eside awuseyisikhathi kodwa
Uyavuma baby. She said yes.
Whoa.
And it fits the
Whoa. Whoa.
Now, shortly after the proposal, Mampintsha followed by speedily paying lobola in the form of live cattle, finally leading to the couple's traditional wedding, which took place this past Sunday. And I hear that the white wedding will be following later on in the year, probably after the bride has given birth to her bounty baby. Yo, what a journey it's been for this couple. And honestly, I do wish them the best, but only time can tell. Now, this week we spoke to Tutsi Francis, who is the director at the South African Outreach and Emergency Services, and she said that reconciliation, in fact, is possible in abusive relationship, but when a third party is involved. Let's hear what she has to say.
My name is Tutsi. I'm the director of the South African Outreach and Emergency Services. We fight gender-based violence. We've got a team that does human trafficking, missing persons, search and rescue, and we have a team that does the outreach work. We are based all over the place, and we go ahead and we sort out issues, bring problems to an end, do the best we can to solve. We work 24 hours, 7 days in a week. There were families that we identified with that just needed a third voice, just somebody to listen to them, reason with them, and mediate, bring some sort of understanding to them. Sometimes the guys lose interest. In the beginning, they want to court, they want to do everything for the girl to impress her. 1 year down the line, it's still there, but not so much. And then after the child comes, and that's it. Most of the guys are turning in a different direction. Maybe she put on weight. They find the responsibilities too much. They don't want to go down that route. A lot of young children are getting involved in marriages, relationships without marriage, children, and then they are fed up. It's too early for them. So this is where they're at now. So our pastor worked with us last year. He is the person that gave us the name for the gender-based violence group, Flying Wings. And he worked with us last year, whether it was 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever time, he made the time. There was times when I sent families to the church. I sent out cases to the church on a Sunday morning, and whilst praise and worship was happening, he sat with them in the kitchen and he counseled them. Many marriages, in 3 months, 67 marriages were saved. And to be honest, it was like 2 months and 2 weeks. 67 marriages were saved. So yes, it is possible. Sometimes we just need to be hard on them. Become the parent to these, doesn't matter how old they are, but just become the parent at that time and speak to them like their children, to make them understand and to make them see reasoning in the whole thing. Many times I've asked a guy, so when you were courting her, you bought her flowers, you bought her chocolates, when she got married, you bought her lingerie. When was the last you've done it? And they look at me and like, oh, but we're so old. Why? What has changed? Nothing. She's the same person. She is the same person. Age doesn't stop you from cooking the food. Age doesn't stop you from becoming the mother or the wife. It shouldn't be a problem. Why should we change our attitudes? This is where we start from. We look at the issues, and then you have third-party interferences. His family, her family, friends that are poking their noses in the center, creating problems. Instead of solving an argument, they would make it even bigger by adding, negative into it. So these are the things that we look at. So sometimes you just need the third voice. You just need somebody to mediate or to sit down with them and make them understand, no, this is where it is, and this is where you've gone wrong, and this is where you've gone wrong. And just put them together and just work with them. Sometimes you need to visit them maybe 2-3 times after that. But the job gets done. They're not in a divorce court. I've come from a domestically violent home growing up as a child. My dad was the abuser. He had women, he drank, he never had any interest in his family. Nothing. My mom struggled very hard for us. Back in the day, the courts believed you don't go to divorce, you first go for counseling. Eventually, Dr. Alan Naidu said, no, there's nothing, you cannot save this marriage. So my mom was divorced, and then I entered and I got into an arranged marriage, and that didn't work out. That went down badly as well, because a husband, the Bible clearly tells you got to leave and cleave. But that was not the case. And eventually I picked up my 2 girls and gotten back home. And then I settled down with my mother's first cousin, his dad and my mom, my grandmother, brother and sister. So you're looking at your immediate family. And I've gone through 26 years of abuse. I've lost children, babies. I was pregnant when I was beaten up and I lost my babies. I've went through a lot of abuse, from being locked out, left with no food, no lights, no water. My children really, really suffered. On Christmas Day, we would stay inside because we didn't have stuff. And never a day did I go to my family and complained. Eventually, I moved from Tongat and I came back to Chatsworth. And my mom, she did her best to keep things calm and quiet, but it didn't work out. We took out 2 protection orders against him. That didn't work out. Eventually, 2 years ago, I sat and I cried out to my pastor because I was accused with somebody, helping them. I was accused with them. And I sat with my pastor, and eventually I spoke out and I explained to him what I've gone through over the years. I went through intense counseling, and that year, it was Christmas Eve, I walked into Chatsworth police station and I sat with the 2 detectives and I broke down. Those detectives, at their Christmas lunch and supper, I was asked to come back on the 27th again. And when I walked in on the 27th, the first thing they looked at me and asked me was, how are you, my dear? Do you know we sat at our tables and we prayed for you? I am amazed. I've heard stories, but I've never seen such a strong woman. And that is exactly what my pastor said. He said, you've been helping people over the years, trying to suppress your pain. It didn't help you. It's time for you to go out and do the right thing. So the South African Outreach and Emergency Services was literally, I've been motivated and pushed and advised and molded into building this NPO with the help of my pastor, who is late now. So my experiences over the years, I'm going to be 53 in July. It's been 53 years of violence. From father to ex-husband to present husband, it's been violence.
Sure. It's very hectic. What motivated you to actually break the silence? Because this is not something that's easy for women to do. At which point did you realize that, you know what, enough is enough? I'm taking a step to change my life. What made you reach that point?
That point came when I was accused, because my husband had affairs over the years, and each time around I just kept quiet. We did our best. I've got a 32-year-old daughter and I've got a 30-year-old daughter, 24-year-old son and a 22-year-old. And over the years, for the sake of my children, I just kept quiet, always kept quiet. And when he accused me, knowing what he had done wrong, and each time around I kept quiet, that was the limit for me. And he was putting shows, drinking, performing the entire night. And I remember my son saying, you know, he's hit you with cupboards, he's tried to burn you, he's tried to poke you, he's tried to do so many things to you. And you know what? You kept quiet all these years. Finally, for once, can you stand up for yourself? He got nice and drunk, my husband, and he decided to say, get out of the house. He said to the boys, get out. So they said to me, Mommy, sorry, he can't do this to us anymore. We're no longer children. We are going to go, and you are walking out with us. I walked out fair and fine. It was about midnight. But I struggled the entire night because I never slept anywhere and I never stayed anywhere. He always locked us in. I remember days when he locked us in. He would go to work with the keys and come back the next day and open us out. He would leave us, stranded on many occasions. Sometimes rents were not paid. Life was difficult. But at that time, it was all these things were going through my head, and I was like, it doesn't matter what he did, he's going to sober up. I need to go home. How am I going to stay? How am I going to sleep in somebody else's house? And that morning, I was just getting ready. I said, okay, he left. I said, now we're going to go back in. When he comes back home, he's going to be fine. We're going to talk, and we're going to... He left home at about 5:05, and he came back at about 5:25. He must have gone to work. He must have been somewhere right there at Shibin, because I was just going to open up the gate, and there his car's coming in. So I quickly left the gate and I walked back into the driveway. And there, he's getting off with bottles of drink. And it was just going down, and I suffered severe depression. And then eventually, there was death threats, and my son said to me, no, we got to take this serious, because he was literally stalking me and doing all kinds of things. We got counselors from the church to come in. That didn't work out. They told me he's not in love with you, he never loved you, he's obsessed with you. And that can be a big problem. So I went back home, became a problem again. I came back out. I think I must have done it like 3 times in that few days or few weeks. And eventually I said to Pastor, I'm done. This is exactly what I've gone through. And he was shocked. And being such a strong person and a medical technician at Albert Lutuli, and over the years he's seen a lot of things, but even he sat there with tears and he said, all I can say to you is that you're not alone. I'm your mother, I'm your father, I'm your spiritual father, I'm your brother, I'm your sister, I'm your mentor, I'm your confidant. I am everything that you need, but it's over. Today you start a new, fresh life. Let's pray. He prayed with me, and he did soul tie breaks, he did everything with me, and he said to me, now you got to do what you got to do, and that is stand strong. Don't go back. Don't go back on your words. My husband went to him. He tried lying to him, but Pastor already knew the truth, and he said to him, if you come into the church, you got to come looking for God, not your wife. You're sitting in the church, you're looking for your wife, you're trying to keep an eye on your wife, you're not there for God. So until you are ready to accept God and change your life, there's nothing I can do to help you. It was that day that my pastor called me and he said to me, Tutsi, you're now going to turn the situation around. There's thousands of women that are sitting in the same place you are, and they need to come out and they need to get help like you are. So from that day, this is where we are. It's been a bad experience, but I think with all the motivating and the scolding from him at times, I remember there was times in the evening I couldn't come out because I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid of the dark at times. There was times when I was afraid of being alone in my own home. I was assaulted in my own home at gunpoint. My husband's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend rather, now, her family had come in there. I was assaulted at gunpoint. So I've been through it all. And this is what makes me so much more stronger today. And this is why I'm able to stand in front of any couple and say, we can either make this or break this. You guys decide. And if y'all want to make it, we are here to help you every step of the way. We'll hold y'all's hands. We will be there for you 24/7. Day or night you need us, just call us and we will talk to you, or we will come out. Yes, we work without a cent of petrol. There's no funding for us or anything of that sort. But we go out there because it is most important to us to save people, not let them walk down 52 years of their lives and say, okay, now this is it. I can't take it anymore. Why must they wait 52 years when they can stop it immediately?
Right, yet again, I have to thank you for watching this week's episode of Bekezela. I did tell you that this will be a long trajectory, but as long as the narrative keeps unfolding and abuse is broken. Now, if you have an abuse story, gender-based violence or domestic violence, please do get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to bekezela@milisaglobalmedia.co.za. Remember, enough is enough. Don't wait for your body to become a crime scene. Yet again, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Bekezela. I told you that this will be a long trajectory, but it is absolutely necessary. Now, if you have a gender-based violence or domestic violence story, please do get in touch with us. We might learn from your experience. Send us an email to bekezela@milisaglobalmedia.co.za. Remember, enough is enough. Don't wait for your body to become a crime scene. Don't wait for your partner to kill you. Remember, ungabekezeli. Yeah.